Alright, so I've got my fake fireplace around, which is my galvanised metal plate, and it's stuck. The trim and the surround are just held up by magnets at the minute, so it's not terribly straight, but it does look more like a hole in the wall than it would if it was just randomly sat there, not really looking like anything. So we'll take a closer look at it and see what we can see. So this is the wider 500mm wide, and this currently has the 50mm three-sided trim. You can also get a wider 75mm trim that gives you a bigger border. So why would you use a bigger border? It's like a bigger picture frame, really. It could be you've got a bigger hole with a bigger gap to fill, or it could be you just want a bit more surround, like a border on a picture frame. I'm going to have to watch that I don't knock my trim off because it's not actually attached at the moment. But inside, just like the smaller version, we have a coal grate in the middle because this is a multi-fuel with an ash pan underneath. This is their touch-up paint that, nah, it's not much good, that, chuck that aside. I don't even use it. You'll end up setting fire to it and melting it. Just I don't use touch-up paint. If it needs sprayed or painted, then either buff it with some polish or spray it, but I can't be doing those tiny wee tubes of touch-up paint. This is your air control lever. So we've also got a pair of fire-reducing bricks in the larger models. These come in the 500mm wide and on the 650mm wide, the 8 kilowatt unit and the 5 kilowatt wide. You don't get them in the smaller firebox, and really they're for burning smokeless fuel or coal to make that firebox smaller so you don't burn so much fuel. But if you want to put them in the big one, there's not any reason to have them in for wood apart from to keep more embers in the middle if you don't want to burn so much fuel. So we don't need them today, so we're just going to put them aside. And I'll lay a fire in the inside. So first of all, we want the air controls at the top and the bottom open. I'm used to open being to the right and shut being to the left, but it's the other way around in these ones, so I need to not forget. So I'm going to put 2 small kiln dried logs in there. Let's actually make it. Just trying to get the height right. These are little ones and they're birch, so they'll take up nice and quick. I'm just trying to kind of level the height so I can stack my kindling in there. I have a handful of kindling and Jenga, stack that on top with 1 fire lighter in the middle. And yes, I did fit the optional air control lever pin thingy on there. I'll put a fire lighter in here, just the one, and another couple of bits of kindling, and then light it up. And no, you don't need a fire lighter, but I can use a blowtorch, but I can use one with one hand and do videos, so I quite like it. So we shut the door and leave the air controls fully open and just leave that slightly ajar for the first few minutes until that fire gets going and starts to heat up. So given that it's chamotti or ceramic in the inside firebox in this will get quite black while it heats up when it's cold, but it gives a lovely big bright clean interior and a really nice wide glass view on that. So the actual case on this one is 500mm wide. Excuse my upside down tape measure, it comes with being left-handed, but your actual glass view on this is about 385mm wide by 360 high. It will be similar on the smaller version in height, but just a bit less in width by about 3 inches or so, 3 or 4 inches. So as you can see, with the door open, it's catching up nice and quick, and we'll take a look at it a bit more once it's had a chance to catch up. Okay, so in my opinion, not enough people actually consider inset fires. Because in houses that were built from mid-1960s onwards, typically these were constructed with builders' openings. And builders' fireplace openings were only about 600 millimetres wide, and were then often shut down to 400mm, 450mm wide, 16 to 18 inches for an open fire, and the fire bricks tapered. Now when you knock those chair bricks, the concrete inset bits in the inside, and get back to being a square, sometimes you can't get that opening much bigger than 600 or 700 millimeters. And if you've got a big room, or it's only a small cavity, it can be very difficult or costly to get a big hole. And sometimes you're left with a tiny hole and trying to put a big burner in a small hole, and then it looks crammed in and it looks like an afterthought. Whereas what you can actually do is make best use of this space and fill it wall to wall with a picture type border like this. And it actually looks really, really slick with a great big window, rather than having a small stove with a big couple of inches space either side, and it just squishing it in. Anyway, I'm trying to do this backwards, so it's not very easy, and see what I'm doing. And it's about the stage you need to put a log in and then shut the door, so I'm just going to flip you back. Righty-ho. So I've used the upside down fire lighting method as usual, with my kindling fire on top. It's heating up nicely, nice and quickly. No smoke spillage. It's pulling away really nice. And I'm just going to pop another small log on top. Now, with the upside down method and my bottom log's already catching, there's plenty of structure here to hold my top log up, so my kindling fire isn't going to go out. And we're building enough heat in here that I can now shut the fire door. Now, isn't that pretty? And that log's going to catch nice and quick. You'll see in a second just how much glass we've got in there. It's lots of glass. Now, if you were only going to get a 600mm wide hole, that means your hole would be to the side of where this trim is. And that means if you might only have a couple of inches from the fire off the wall, and then it just looks squashed in. So doing it this way, it's just pretty, because you end up with a nice big fireplace and lots of glass view. Right, this is really coming up to heat really nice and quick. It's rattling the heat out the front. I can really feel it on my shoulders. Look at the colour of me. I've been all climbing about on the floors and up racking, and just how as you get dirty in here. I'm surprised I don't look like a raccoon again with big black eyes, because I'm rubbing my face and touching stuff that I shouldn't. Anyway, I haven't lit this very long ago at all, so what you're still seeing is my log on top, my kindling pile in the middle, and my bottom logs are actually only just catching. It's nowhere up to temperature yet, but I can really feel the heat coming through the glass in this already. The heat throw forwards is really very good. This stove does burn nice and clean. You will see it in a little while down the line what it does. The line in the back is starting to go a little bit dark, but you can see how beautifully bright it is, and it will come back to being completely clean once it's up to temperature. The baffle plate that's in the top is steel. There's double baffle in there, as you'll see when I show you inside this other unit. There's two baffles, so one above the other. So that doesn't go dark to start with. It stays dark the colour that it is, but it gives a really nice fire view. So what you're looking at the moment is this fake set that I've done. So it kind of looks like it's in a hole in the wall, but it's not. It's only in my front that's stuck on my magnets. It works quite well. We're quite pleased with that. Thanks to Martin for cutting the bit of steel, and thanks to Louis for the magnet idea, because together we all make quite good teamwork, huh? So we'll see what the air control does on this. So at the moment I've still got the bottom air and the top air open till we get it up to temperature. So we'll turn the bottom primary air off, which is what we use when we're heating it up, but we do the air controls backwards when we're burning wood compared to coal, smokeless. So we'll give it a couple more minutes and then see what the top one does. I had to leave it for a little while and just go into the office and get on with it for a while, because the paint was baking on it and it just yeah, paint baking on isn't pleasant. It just stinks a bit. And I wanted it to fume and bake on and just got out the road and let it go on. So here's where we're at. So it's burnt its first 3 small logs with the little one that I put on top, and we're now down to chunky ember. The door handle's getting warm, but it's cool enough to handle without a glove at the moment. Or 2. Put 2 in. It's quite a big firebox in here. So there's decent red ember in there. The top air control gets hot, just in case you didn't know. And I think that way, I haven't even got it out of paper yet. The air control was open to the left and shut to the right. As I say, I'm going to forget because it's back to front compared to most things. But it's picking away with a good speed. That was down to red ember and no flame. And straight away, we're back to flame with full air. Nice. Good fast pickup. Really should take 2 out of the packet, shouldn't it? The logs are catching nice and quick and coming back up to flame. And as soon as that front one has additionally caught, and we've got a big fireball in there, we'll turn it down so you can see what the air control does. All right, so I've heard so much PR about Inset stoves going, oh, they're really rubbish. They don't give any heat to the room. They put all the heat into the walls. That's not true. Not anymore, it isn't. Gone are those days, because a decent Inset stove now, typically most of them are convection stoves, and let all the heat out from around the body out into the room. Look at the colour of my face. I'm roasting inside here. It really is belting the heat out now that this thing is up to temperature. And to make them even better, we back wrap the firebox. It was with chim wrap with extra insulation to push even more heat forward. And that makes such a phenomenal difference and is well worth the money. Now you can't see the top of my rig or the top of my head. Maybe it's better if you don't see my head at all. But it looks more like it's in a wall, and they're really rather nice. Don't just knock them out of the ballpark. They really are worth a look. They're phenomenal good for heat output these days. They're much better than what they used to be, and this does burn beautifully. So let's have a look at the controls. So, as we found out, the air control does get hot if you do it with your fingers. You might need a glove or the tool. I'm going to do it with a tool so that I can use some extra arm reach and hold the phone at the same time, just to turn the air control down and show you how good the air is. If I can do it by hand. There we go. Instant. Massive amount of control. Now this hasn't got the defrost screw in, so that means it goes really, really low. With the defrost, it's going to get dirty on the inside. It's going to get black. That's too low. It needs to come back a bit. Put the defrost screw in. It will save you blacking it all up. It means that you've got a really good fire picture. I wish they put it in standard so that the fitters didn't have to do it, or people didn't end up throwing away the little bits of metal plate by mistake. Just put it in. Don't worry that you can't turn it down so much. It's there as a tool. It's there like an adult child lock to stop you blacking it up, because you want a nice bright fire picture, and there's plenty of control. It'll just take away that tiny bottom bit so that you've got a far better balance, and that means when you turn it down, it's going to look just like this, rather than a complete damp slug because you've sent it too far, because it'll go even more, and that's just too low. That's when it's all going to go black in there, and that's not what we're looking for. Now neither is that's a complete bonfire, but it's already gone black at the back from me having turned it down too low, and it'll just take a minute or so to turn that off. So I'll turn it down a wee bit. Now, my trim should be sitting flush with that door, and it's not. It's sticking out. But that's because it's only held up with magnets and it's not actually attached, and there is no wall there. So it'll fit nicer in your house than it does here. It'll fit a lot straighter. But isn't it pretty? And you turn it right down. There's just almost nothing there. and fully up, you can hear the difference. We've got a fireball. Oh, it really is roasting, like really roasting. I'm absolutely baking here. So I'm going to show you the smaller one and what they're like inside. So this one that I have put up on my trolley is the 400mm back inset, and it's a convection body, so that means it's like a box within a box, and all your heat output is going to come out from in here, and this goes in the actual hull. Now the flue is a 5-inch flue on all the models, and it flues from the top. And what actually happens is that collar drops down the inside, so they attach the flue and the liner down from inside the front stove door and then push it all back up. This gets bolted into the hole in the wall, and then they do the connection from the top of the chimney last. So to get to that, basically you strip all the inside out. And this stove is ceramic lined, often known in the industry, I believe, as chamotti. So we take out the log retainer bar, and then to get the baffle out, you have to take all the internals out first too. So we just take the grate out. This is a multi-fuel. You're probably going to have to bear with me a second because I need 2 hands to take some of these out. So basically, to strip the stove, you take the internal base pieces out first, followed by the liners, and then the baffle comes out. There's a secondary baffle that bolts in above that, you can see. So basically, you just take those screws out, and you can see where the collar is here. And then this fitting from the top drops down inside, you can see clearly now. All that, including the collar, drops down in the inside to do the connection and pull up from in there. So you have 2 air controls on this stove. The top one up here, and then a bottom one just down here. And it's a multi-fuel with a good sized ash pan. The air control sticks through the front of the door and just moves from left to right. That's your primary air control for bottom air, and this is classed as multi-fuel. Now, it is DEFRA approved for burning wood in smokeless zones, but like many manufacturers, what they do is they give you the DEFRA kit to fit to the stove. So typically, you should be fitting this on a 6-inch liner unless you fit the DEFRA kit. And to fit their DEFRA kit, they provide an Allen key and a little tab that stops you shutting this air control right the way down. And all you do is you undo the 2 screws to be able to fit this in here. That stops it shutting down as far, because it keeps it partially open when this is in place behind. Personally, I think DEFRA kits, if a stove is DEFRA approved, that DEFRA kit should be fitted to a stove as standard, and it should be down to the fitter to take it out and not put it in and forget. I wish more manufacturers would actually just leave them in the standard and make people take them out rather than the other way around, because a lot of people will fit stoves onto 5-inch flues that shouldn't be, because they don't fit these in the first place. And that's not the right way to do it. It really does need the DEFRA kit on a 5-inch flue. Oddly, these guys, this isn't nail varnish. It's meant to be touch-up paint, and it comes in the ash pan. And I don't see why, because sometimes it's hard. It's not even always running. People set fire to it in the bottom. Just chuck it in the bin. Aerosol paint's better, and if your fitter needs to touch up, he'll touch it up at the time. You don't want black blobs anyway, so I don't bother with that. But there's plenty of paperwork and stuff with this stove. This, you don't want to lose this. This is a little spindle that screws in here, and it's an air control lever for moving back and forward. So yes, you can use the tool that comes with it for the ash pan to also knock this back and forward, but this little metal screw, the thread is already pre-threaded, you just screw that in here. I don't know if they always did these. I don't remember them always having these. And it does say optional air wash control pin. So they maybe never used to have these on the older models, and it really is a nice little addition. I still can't work out what these little black squares are for. I've no idea why they're there. They're not in the manual that I can see. They're not in the instructions. So I've opened two stoves because I've opened the one that I'm going to test fire, and I don't know what the black metal bits are for. I'll find out at some point. I've tried phoning them and they're on holiday at the moment for Easter for another week. So I think we'll be guessing for a little while longer. Anyway, that's the DEFRA control kit. This is the ash pan and air control piece. With these stoves, you have an extended 7-year warranty. It says you get a year's warranty against manufacturing defects that comes through me as your dealer if I sold you your stove or whoever supplied it to you. After that, you need to have registered it with the manufacturer. If you don't register your stove with the manufacturer, you haven't got an extended warranty. So if something goes wrong and you need help with it, they may well charge you for parts or say you don't have one because you didn't register it. So don't just go and put this in the drawer. Do register it. It's really easy. You go onto their website. It's the same with many of them. It's the same with the likes of Hunters and whatever. And you get the serial number. The serial number is outside the box. The serial number is also on the packet with the instructions. See that code on there that says SN and then an FPI number? For that, this is the serial number. So you just go on the website and you put the code in and then it's done. So there you go. We'll just cover that up. But there is your serial number plate, which is on a little metal tag, and it just sits inside the stove. And underneath where your ash pan goes, it's down in there. So that's where your serial number lives if you ever need it. But do register it, it is worth doing. Bricks and glass and ropes, as typical, aren't covered under a manufacturer warranty for any stoves. It's defects, things that are true faults, things that have been not made properly rather than consumable parts. I've never had a warranty issue on these, to be fair. I've sold lots of them in all the different sizes, to be honest. You can have a 3-sided trim or you can have a 4-sided trim. And when you have a 3-sided trim, that means that the trim goes right down to the floor. But a 4-sided trim is when you have it raised up off the floor and it is off the floor, more like a hole in the wall. I'll show you some pictures on here that I've got on the board, but we'll look at one in a bit more depth in a second. If you can see that up on the wall, the one that is on the top left hand side is showing a fireplace around, but that's a 4-sided trim. Now you could put it onto a plastered wall, but the fire isn't actually on the floor, it's raised higher. Yeah. There's another one with a 4-sided trim on a plastered wall. Whereas a 3-sided trim is this different model, but it's more like that one in that picture there actually sits down to the hearth. Alrighty, so what we're looking at now is my fake fireplace opening that we made. One of the fitters called Martin cut this piece of galvanised metal plate for me and I painted it white. And we have stuck a 3-sided trim to it with magnets just for a display because it looks better than a box on the wall, basically. Let me just pull this off and show you. See? That looks so impressive now, does it? But this is just getting stuck up there with magnets. I'm just going to straighten it up and then video a bit more. You're going to need a handle with this, a glove with this, because the handle does get hot. It does come with gloves. Sleeves work. Nothing wrong with a good sleeve. I'm going to put one final log in here for tonight. But each spoon's running really nice and I'm pleased with it. And it's just on its first burn. That's my fault from when I turned it right down low earlier, because it has burnt a lot cleaner than that. I'll try and get temperature back up and that should burn back off, but it's really not too bad. It's just because it was burning so low, which is why I think the DEFRA kit would be in, because you'll get a cleaner fire picture. It'll burn the screen cleaner with the DEFRA kit, and then you turning it down too low. Just take that bottom small percentage of air travel away, because realistically, you don't need it. We all want that nicer fire picture. See, it's clearing off again already as the temperature's picking up, but there's too much of a temptation to burn too low without the DEFRA stop. Anyway, enjoyed yet another video from Natural Heating. Sarah-Jane looking a bit red in the face and a bit very hot for tonight. What did they put another log on for? I'm going to go home just shortly. I really don't need it. I'm absolutely roasting. So it is quite a big fire and you don't need an awful lot of fuel. Remember, less is more. But an insect fire could be for you if you've got a big room and a smaller fireplace. They really are worth a think about. And we've got several different models to choose from if you'd ever care to have a look. And these are in display, not on live fire anymore once this one comes off because it's already sold. But I do have several Inset stoves that you can have a look at and touch and feel, and plenty of videos you can watch through. There's more coming very soon in the shop at Natural Heating, should you wish to visit us. There's always tea and coffee. See you later. One last shot, night vision. At least you can see what a nice big glass picture you've got.